Hi everyone, this is Chelsea with the Mount Holly Branch Library, and today we are going to be doing a teen book talk. And it is June, so since it's June, it's Pride Month. Happy Pride. All of our books are going to consist of LGBTQIA plus characters. And I have about 10 books to go over with you, and the way that I'll do them in an order will be from the lowest rated book of the 10 to the highest rated book. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first book I have is titled This is Kind of an Epic Love Story. And you'll notice down here at the bottom, the author's name is listed as Kieran Callender. Now, this person no longer goes by Kieran. They go by Kaysen, and they use the they, their, them pronouns. So therefore, I will also use Kaysen's name and their preferred pronouns so I can be respectful to their identity, even though it's not the name that's on the book cover. So here's a picture of Kaysen. You'll notice in the back. Now this book was published in 2018 and it has a rating of 3.43 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So this book's character is Nate, and Nate is pretty much jaded over the demise of a lot of relationships, that he no longer believes in happy endings. Therefore, to play it safe to avoid a broken heart has been his goal ever since his father passed away. So his strategy isn't without fault. He just doesn't like to get a lot of people too close to him. So with the push from his friend, who is Florence, to try to explore a new relationship, Oliver, his old childhood friend, comes home and moves back to their hometown. And after a very painful mix-up when they were little, Nate now finally has a chance to tell Oliver the truth about his feelings. However, can Nate find the courage to pursue his own happily ever after? So, definitely a good, it's very diverse. There are a lot of very diverse characters in this book, which I think is really, really nice. I do wish they would have updated with Kaysen's name. And there were a lot of 3.4, so the rating is a little bit low for this one because they just said that the characters didn't develop that well. But still, it's a good read. So next we have The Gravity of Us. Now this is by Phil Stamper. You can see back there's his little picture. Now this was published in the year 2020 and has a rating of 3.69 out of 5. So this book is going to be about an inspiring social media journalist, Cal, and he is shocked to learn that his father was accepted to do a mission for NASA, going to Mars, and pretty much his entire family had to uproot from where they lived in Brooklyn and move to Houston, Texas. And being in the center of the media circus and just trying to play that average family for the media. So he also meets another person named Leon, whose mother was also an astronaut for this mission. And he falls head over heels for Leon, falls in love with him. And while Cal and Leon become sort of like an oasis for each other, because this is a very stressful time for both of them with the media constantly, out their windows and everything, Cal starts to become a little suspicious of some secrets that he believes are being kept from the family that involve the NASA mission. And because he has such an inspiration to be a social media journalist, he tries to find out the truth, but he also wants to try to avoid hurting those people that are closest to him. So it's very interesting to see whether or not he succeeds and does that. So our next book is called You Know Me Well, and this is by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. Now, you've probably noticed he's done a lot of other books as well, David has, and I'll show you. Oh, I don't have a picture in the back. Well, there's their summaries in the back, but he's done Every Day, Another Day. He's done a lot of YA author books, and he's worked with a lot of other YA authors, so he's one of my favorites. So this book was published in 2016, and it has a 3.75 rating out of 5 on Goodreads. So just a really quick summary of this one is it navigates the joys and the heartaches of first loves. So Kate and Mark become best friends, and they support each other while one of them has a relationship that grows while the other one's relationship dissolves. So Mark is in love with his best friend Ryan, and Kate is in love with a girl who she has yet to admit it to. And this story sort of takes place with alternating views, and they take you on their journey of love, learning. They learn to grow their friendship and how they support each other. So again, a really nice read. So next we have Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. And there's Brandy. So this was published in 2017, and it has a rating of 3.80 out of 5 on Goodreads. So this book does touch on bipolar disorder, and it does talk of suicide. So the main character, Suzette, comes home to Los Angeles from a boarding school, and she's not really sure if she even wants to go back to the boarding school. Los Angeles is where her friends are, her family lives, and also her crush. She has a stepbrother named Lionel who has been diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, and he needs her emotional support. And she tries to settle into her old life before boarding school, but she finds herself falling for someone else, someone new. However, it is the same girl that her brother is in love with. So when her brother's disorder starts to spiral out of control, she's forced to confront her past and those mistakes and find a way to try to help her brother before he may hurt himself or worse. So she comes to terms with the fact that she is bisexual, and she's trying to handle the difficulty of her brother who had just stopped taking his medication. So it talks about some very real hard truths and points in this book. So it is really definitely a good read. So there's that one. So next we have, this one is Stay Gold by Toby McSmith. There's Toby there. So this was published in this year, 2020, and has a rating of 3.83 out of 5 on Goodreads. Little disclaimer, I will say that this story is probably going to be for more advanced readers. There are a lot of instances throughout this book that involve a lot of slurs and bullying of the LGBTQIA plus characters. And if this is something that you may be uncomfortable with, feel free to go ahead and skip this part or the summary for this book and just scroll or fast forward until you see the next book cover. And I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, so Stay Gold delivers a coming-of-age teen love story about a transgender boy named Pony who's trying to stay under the radar at his new school in Texas, and a cisgender girl, Georgia, who was drawn to him, even as she's counting down the days until graduation. This read is described as perfect for fans of David, like we've seen in You Know Me Well, that we were just talking about, Becky Albertalli, and Jenny Han. So Stay Gold. I like that little reference to The Outsiders with Stay Gold and Pony. So our next book is going to be Break in Case of Emergency, and this is by Brian Francis. See a little picture of Brian Francis in the back. Now this was published last year in 2019, and it has a rating of 3.97 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So the main character is going to be Toby. So living with her grandparents after her mother died of suicide 5 years ago, her father had left town before she was born. Toby is really struggling with letting people get very close to her, and she's dealing with a lot of emotional issues going on. So she creates a plan because she just ended a relationship herself, and she's dealing with the pain of that. So she decides to create a plan to escape, and she is convinced that she's destined to follow in her mother's footsteps of suicide. However, all of a sudden, her plans get interrupted because her father decides to return home and wants to meet her. And not only is her father gay, but he's also a world-famous female impersonator. He is also very self-absorbed and temperamental and just very ill-prepared on how to be a parent to Toby. So pretty much what is Toby going to learn how to let people in and learn to lean on them for support and rebuild her life. So this is a great read to learn about what happens with Toby and her dad. So the next we have The Infinite Noise, and this is going to be by Lauren Shipman. And there's Lauren right there in the back. Now this was published in 2019, last year, and it has a rating of 4.02 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So this story features an average 16-year-old named Caleb who starts experiencing a lot of unusual mood swings and other changes, and come to find out that he was diagnosed as atypical. He has extreme empathy, and it becomes difficult for him to handle, especially when at high school and when he's surrounded by his peers. He does befriend a classmate named Adam, Adam also has very big emotions. However, Adam and Caleb's growing friendship and relationship tends to help each other. So this story does take a deeper dive in what it means to be atypical and to have extreme empathy in high school where emotions are already all over the place. So very interesting take, and I really enjoyed this book. So next we have The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. And her picture's not back there, but there is a summary about Lisa. So this was published in 2015, and it has a rating of 4.07 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. This story features a teenager who is named David, but David identifies as Kate and uses she, her pronouns. Keeping this identity a secret from family and peers proves to be difficult as a high school bully confronts Kate and tries to start a fight. And then another student named Leo intervenes to stand up for Kate. Leo, who was also transgender and new to the school, wanted to be invisible, but instead reached out to help Kate. And with Leo's help, Kate was able to have the support that she needed to accept her identity. Now, while this book is an introduction to transgender teens, it is not the best example of the importance of labels and how easily labels can be misrepresented and not respected. In the book summary and throughout the book, the main character is called David and described using he, his pronouns. But David wants to be Kate and wants to use she, her pronouns. So when Kate is in a dress and showing more feminine characteristics, that's the only time that the author and the other character, Leo, actually acknowledges Kate as Kate. Excuse me. However, this book was written in 2015. This book was not written by someone who is part of the trans community. And I think 2015 was only 5 years ago, but we have, as society, really progressed in the past 5 years in many ways. So I would just say keep all that in mind when you tend to read this, and just remember the importance of labels and just being respectful and things like that, okay? All right, we just got 2 more. So next, I haven't read this one yet, but I'm very excited to, is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. And there's Mason in the back. Sorry, his little stickers over him. So this was published in 2019, and this has a rating of 4.13 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So pretty much this is about Ben. Ben comes out to their parents as non-binary. They're thrown out of their house and forced to move in with their estranged older sister Hannah and Hannah's husband Thomas, whom Ben has not met yet. So Ben is struggling with an anxiety disorder. They came out to Hannah, Thomas, and their therapist, and they try to keep a low profile in a new school. However, Ben's attempts to survive the last half of his senior year unnoticed doesn't go quite as planned when Nathan decides to take Ben under his wing. And of course, their friendship grows, and their feelings for each other begin to change, and what started as a disastrous turn of events looks like it might just be a start to a happy new life. So very interesting read. This is the first YA book that I have came across that has a non-binary character. So I'm excited that these are starting to be more common and starting to get out there more, because I just love the diversity that's happening with YA books right now. All right, last but certainly not least, this is a brand new book. We just got it in, and this is called Camp by Elsie Rosen. And there's the author. So this was published this year in 2020, because like I said, it's just brand new, and it does have a rating of 4.20 out of 5 stars. So this story features a very diverse cast of LGBTQIA characters. One of them is a 16-year-old, Randy, who loves spending the summer at Camp Outland. And this is a safe camp for LGBTQIA plus teens, and it's where he fell for Hudson, who's only into straight acting guys and barely knows that even Randy exists. Randy decides to reinvent himself so he can become more buff and masculine, and so he reinvents himself as Dale. So this means that he had to give up show tunes and nail polish and his unicorn bed sheets and all the things that made him Randy, because he's determined to get Hudson to fall for him. But as he and Hudson start growing closer, Randy stops and asks himself, how much is he willing to change for love? And if it's love anyway, if Hudson doesn't know who he truly is. So I think this is a great introspective look at oneself and and change and decisions that we make for other people. And I'm very excited to read this one. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us with the book talk. I hope these are some very good titles that you are excited to check out. If you have any that you want to recommend, or if you have any questions on any of them, or if you would like for me to pull more, please send me an email, hit us up on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, Mount Holly Branch Library. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will see you again soon. Bye.